Before becoming the heartthrob we know today, Jang Ki-yong was just an ordinary boy from Ulsan, trying to find his place in the world. He was born in 1992 into a simple family, with a strict father, disciplined to the extreme, and a loving yet overprotective mother. From an early age, he grew up between two opposing forces: constant pressure and excessive affection. And perhaps that's why, even as a child, he developed an introspective personality, almost too shy to dream big. At school, Jang Ki-yong was that student who went unnoticed through the hallways. He rarely drew attention, avoided conflicts, and usually stayed at the back of the classroom observing the world. He himself has confessed that he had no confidence in his own appearance. He thought he was too ordinary to stand out in anything. What few knew is that behind that quiet boy, there was a restless mind. Music was his first love. Before thinking about modeling or acting, Ki-yong wanted to be a singer. He spent hours listening to hip-hop, writing lyrics he never showed anyone, and playing at imagining what it would be like to go up on stage. But, like almost every young person who carries a dream too big for a small life, he didn't know where to start. In adolescence, he faced moments of deep insecurity and even episodes of mild bullying, which reinforced his tendency to hide rather than assert himself. It was then, already in high school, that a seemingly trivial moment changed everything. While watching a fashion show on TV, he was mesmerized by the way the models walked with confidence. For the first time, he felt that maybe he could transform his own insecurity into strength. Even without fully believing in himself, he decided to try. And that decision, impulsive, unlikely for his profile, was the first step toward a change no one imagined. At 19, he left Ulsan and moved to Seoul, determined to reinvent himself. With a small suitcase, few resources, and much doubt, Jang Ki-yong arrived in the capital not knowing that this leap in the dark would be precisely what would transform the shy boy into one of the most magnetic figures on Korean television. When Jang Ki-yong arrived in Seoul, he didn't have a very clear plan. What he knew was that he wanted to try something different from the calm and predictable life he had in Ulsan, and the door that opened first was fashion. He started participating in small auditions, sometimes being turned away at the door, sometimes not even getting a response. But when he finally got a contract, he discovered that the model's life wasn't as glamorous as it seemed on TV. In the early years, he was just another face among hundreds. Fashion shows, photo sessions, long waits, and almost no chance to show personality. Even so, this period served for him to gain a bit of confidence, understand how show business worked, and learn to deal with rejection. And it was precisely in this process that something unexpected happened. Producers began to notice that he had a different presence, an expression that worked well in front of cameras. That's when the doors to acting began to open. The problem is that when the opportunity to act finally appeared, Jang Ki-yong realized he had no idea how to do it right. He started with very small appearances, almost as an extra, but even so, he was criticized. Comments said he was cold, stiff, that he seemed to read lines without emotion. And if there's one thing he didn't want, it was to be seen as someone who was only there because of his looks. That discomfort was what awakened in him a real desire to learn. He began dedicating himself to acting classes, observing directors, studying other actors' expressions. Gradually, he understood how to transform emotion into language, and how to use his calm demeanor as part of the performance. His first role that really drew attention was in It's Okay, That's Love in 2014, where, even with little screen time, he showed he had potential. Then came Go Back Couple, a few years later, in 2017, and people began to notice he was evolving quickly. But it was during the filming of My Mister, alongside stars like IU and Lee Sun-kyun, that everything changed. There, he took on a denser character and finally gained respect within the industry. His acting caught the attention of critics, and marked the beginning of the phase when Jang Ki-yong stopped being the model who acts and began to be recognized as a real actor. Jang Ki-yong's fame didn't arrive overnight. It was built gradually, as if each drama added a new piece to the puzzle. But there's a point in his career that almost everyone agrees on, which came in the same year as My Mister. It was in Come and Hug Me in 2018 that everything really turned around. Until then, he wasn't seen as someone who would carry a drama on his back. But when he took on the role of Chae Do-jin, a police officer with a tragic past, Jang Ki-yong surprised even those who had been following his growth. His acting was so intense and so natural that the audience finally realized he wasn't just a handsome ex-model trying to act. He had depth, emotion, and above all, presence. From that drama on, awards began to appear. He gained recognition as Best New Actor and became the type of name that production companies began to watch more closely. And this opened doors for him to show another side in My Roommate is a Gumiho from 2021, alongside Hyeri. If in Come and Hug Me he had shown maturity and drama, in this new work he revealed he also knew how to do light romance and comedy. And sure enough, the audience loved it. The drama's success was so great that his name became a topic on social media. Scene clips went viral, and many people who who didn't know him began looking for his previous works. The chemistry with Hyeri also drew so much attention that it gave rise to those rumors that would return later, and which today are part of his public image. But his career had an inevitable challenge: military enlistment. He was at his peak, with several offers, but had to stop everything to serve. Many actors lose momentum during this period, but in Jang Ki-yong's case, the opposite happened. Upon return, he appeared more mature, with a stronger look, and an even more confident way of acting. It was as if the time away from the cameras had consolidated something within him. And then came the new phase, where he stopped being just one of the rising actors and began to be seen as someone who can really lead major dramas. The combination of presence, calm voice, reserved manner, and intelligent role choices helped transform Jang Ki-yong into a solid name that the audience trusts and follows. Fame didn't arrive suddenly, but when it did, he was already ready for it. When it comes to love life, Jang Ki-yong has always been one of the most discreet actors in the industry. He has never publicly confirmed a relationship and, unlike many colleagues, doesn't feed gossip, doesn't give hints, and doesn't usually talk about his own heart in interviews. Even so, over the years, some rumors have emerged, some weak, others that gained strength, and formed this image of him as the reserved heartthrob that no one can figure out. One of the first rumors happened when he acted with Lee Ye-na years ago. The two were photographed in relaxed moments, and some fans began to speculate there was something beyond friendship. Nothing was confirmed, and the subject died quickly, but it marked the beginning of this curiosity around his relationships. After that, rumors emerged involving him and Lee Sung-kyung when they worked together on campaigns and events. The visual chemistry between the two drew attention, but again, there was no concrete evidence. The agencies denied it, and both moved on with their lives normally. Later, during the filming of Search WWW, there were those who commented on an unusual closeness between Jang Ki-yong and Im Soo-jung. But this rumor was even weaker, practically based only on the characters' dynamics. More attentive fans realized it was just good acting chemistry, nothing indicating real romance. But all of this became small when the rumor emerged that, to this day, is the most talked about in his career: the alleged involvement with Hyeri during My Roommate is a Gumiho. This was the only rumor that really went viral on social media. Their on-screen chemistry was so natural that many began to wonder if the romance hadn't crossed over into reality. The situation gained even more strength because of a radio interview where the two seemed very comfortable, laughing, talking, and exchanging looks that fans interpreted as suspicious. The problem is that at the time, Hyeri was still in a public relationship with Ryu Jun-yeol. This made speculation grow in a way that got out of control. Some people even insinuated that her relationship was wavering because of her closeness with Jang Ki-yong. Hyeri's team had to speak out, denying any crisis and saying she and Ryu were still together. Jang Ki-yong, on the other hand, chose to remain silent, something that only fueled curiosity. In the end, concrete proof never emerged that they had something off camera. Most analysts agree it was just a mixture of strong chemistry, favorable editing, and fans' expectations. But regardless of the truth, the rumor left a mark. To this day, when talking about Jang Ki-yong's love life, Hyeri's name is always the first to appear. It's curious because this episode reinforced a personality trait many had already noticed. Jang Ki-yong is reserved to the point of letting the public's imagination run wild. He doesn't confirm, doesn't deny, doesn't feed it, but also doesn't cut the subject off. And perhaps it's precisely this silence that keeps alive this aura of mystery around the actor, the feeling that he has an active love life, just very well guarded. After the entire period off screens because of military service, Jang Ki-yong returned with full force in Dynamite Kiss, which officially premiered on November 12, 2025 on SBS, also available on Netflix on Wednesday and Thursday nights. This drama marked not only his return to prime time, but also a clear change in the type of character he chooses to play. Here, he plays Gong Ji-hyuk, the serious and perfectionist leader of a team called Mother TF, from a company dedicated to baby products. It's a more adult role, more contained, full of responsibilities, and that requires a more refined type of acting, one based on small gestures, long looks, and an emotional weight that doesn't need to be shouted to be felt. His co-star is actress An Yoon-jin, in the role of Go-da Rim, a woman going through a difficult phase who, to get a job, lies saying she's married and a mother. She enters the company precisely under Ji-hyuk's command, and this creates a relationship full of tension, misunderstandings, and moments that mix humor, romance, and that feeling of, this isn't going to work out, but I want to see what happens. Right in the first episode, the two star in the famous Dynamite Kiss, an unexpected kiss that already places the audience inside the explosive dynamic of the story. No beating around the bush, the drama starts fast, straight to the point, and betting completely on the chemistry between them. The drama's visual also helps a lot. The cinematography is clean, elegant, with that modern aesthetic that makes the atmosphere between the protagonists even more intense. And the initial audience reception was very positive, especially because this work shows a different Jang Ki-yong from the one in My Roommate is a Gumiho. Here he appears more mature, more confident, and with a command of the screen that clearly shows how he evolved after the mandatory break. Additionally, Dynamite Kiss was also distributed internationally by Netflix, which further expanded the reach of his return and put Ki-yong's name back on the global radar. In the end, Dynamite Kiss works as a kind of renewal chapter in Jang Ki-yong's career. It's a drama that demands from him more than charm and presence. It demands emotional delivery, vulnerability, and the ability to carry a story that revolves completely around the character's choices, fears, and limitations. And this makes it clear that his post-military phase isn't just any return, it's a new beginning.